Okay.
So we are at 12:02 Eastern Standard Time. Let's go ahead and begin. So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Accountability and Hopeful Fridays. Um, this will be our second last session of the year. And for the month of December, we are holding these sessions at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But come January, we will go back to our regular schedule at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let me get my fabulous laser. So I always like to just remind everyone of our goal. Our goal is to uplift and support those pursuing new career paths, fostering accountability, and instilling hope for a brighter future. But this is also is for folks who are just curious about where they lie in their career journey, and if they are curious to just sharpen their knife and improve their interviewing skills or edit or refine their resume. This is a good session to just be a fly on the wall, listen in, and learn something new that they may not typically know or have known before. So I'm sure there are a few new people on today's call. I know Peter is, Bryant is. So I always like to start off. Why did we start off with this particular session? I'm sorry about that. So the reason, or how did this meetings get triggered? About a few months ago, I ran into a gentleman, and he'd been looking for a job for 2 years, and he was really down in the slumps, and he was very depressed. And as many of you know, the job market is pretty tough right now. And as many of you know, I'm a military veteran. I've lost a couple buddies of mine, in fact, more than a couple. One really close friend of mine who I worked with very closely for several years, and they committed suicide. So I take mental health pretty seriously. So I thought, hey, if someone is feeling that way for not getting a job, there's got to be other people who are probably feeling the same way or close to it. So I took it upon myself to start Accountability and Hopeful Fridays. It's just out of my good heart to just look out for people, help people out, and give them a little bit of hope in their career journey. Smart goal. And then what they will do and what we will do is we will um, we will basically sign up for a SMART goal for next Friday's session. And a SMART goal is something that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. That means that is fully in your control. People can sign up for that. You can chat it in the Teams chat, or you can write it down on a piece of paper and be accountable for that particular task to get that accomplished by next Friday. And the way we provide hope is we share some good news stories, something that's working. As you may have seen in my previous slide, I had a picture of a fishing rod. So I'm an avid fisherman, and I like to, hey, if a fisherman tells me, hey, a particular bait or a fly is working, I'm going to try to use that same bait so that way I can catch those same fish, right? So we share that so-called intelligence that we are gathering out in the field and share that with other people so they can use the same so-called tricks or tips to be successful in their career journey. And Lastly, most importantly, is your attitude. You know that thoughts determine your life. So everything that's going on in your brain, you have to be able to control it. You have to stay positive, and your attitude will determine your altitude. So I know it's very tough to say that, especially when you are in a, flight or fight type of mode, when finances are tough and you're just trying to make ends meet. It's easier said than done. I know that. So that being said, um, try your best as much as you can. At the end of the day, we are here to help you. I'm here to help you um, to um, to help you control those thoughts so you can be successful. So some quick stats on accountability and hopeful Fridays. As of today, this is our eighth session. We've had six guest speakers. We've had four past members. What does that mean? That means, hey, we do not want you to come to these sessions. At the end of the day, your main job or your main priority right now is most likely getting a new job or making a career change, right? So past members, they have found a job, they moved on, and some of them occasionally attend these sessions, just to inspire others. But nevertheless, these are four past members. And I think this number is incorrect. When I made this slide, it was 3 days ago, and we were at 71 members. I just checked today, a few minutes ago, we were at 91 members on LinkedIn and counting. So we are really close to our 100-member mark. So really cool stuff, and this been growing without any so-called ads or commercials. It's all been word of mouth. So thank you for sharing the good word. If my mouse can work, I'm sorry. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to today's guest speaker. Kyle is a good friend of mine. We've been in communication for quite a few months. And um, from, I say this for a lot of people, but I truly believe this whenever I say that, like, Kyle truly cares about people and he wants to help people. Sometimes you just got to look at people's gut instincts, and he's got a good heart. So he's a recruiter or a business developer with Genesis 10, which is a recruiting firm right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he is very passionate about helping people. So, um, Kyle, if you don't mind doing a small introduction of yourself, and then we will go right into the one question that we ask all our recruiters. If you don't mind, if you can share one piece of insider knowledge that many job seekers might not be aware of, but would find incredibly helpful in their job search. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, well, thank you, Danny, and also, just wanted to start with saying appreciate your friendship as well. When he asked me to do this a few months ago, I was definitely hesitant to say that I have enough expertise to come in front of anyone and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. But through my time in talent acquisition, I do like to think that I've figured a few things out or a few tips, like Danny mentioned about a fly or a piece of bait that might attract something. I don't have the one size fits all solution to anything, but I might have some tips that maybe could help you out in your talent search. And to give you my side of things, there's a pretty common saying in talent acquisition that, I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to school for this. I kind of fell into the industry. I graduated from Auburn University with a degree in marketing. Found myself near the tail end of COVID saying, I have absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. At the end of the day, I saw the people around me that I kind of like to model my life after. They were just helping people. My mom's a nurse, so I saw her helping people my whole life. And what I ended up doing was reaching out to my local network, my brothers, my friends, saying, hey, how can I find a job opportunity? I don't really have a place I'm going to set on living. I kind of was open to anything at the time. And I got in touch with someone at a company called Tech Systems, and they're a local IT staffing firm, much like Genesis 10. Genesis 10 is better, but we'll leave that at the door. And so I got aligned to someone, and they said, "Hey, this is a great opportunity. Um, we didn't all go to school for this, but it's something that you can really develop skills within." And I think if you were to tell me 4 years ago when I first started in talent acquisition, staffing, recruiting, that I might be leading this talk today, I would be like, holy crap, what am I doing? How did I get there? But it all is a lot of credit to mentors along the way. So in TA, I started out in staffing for infrastructure services in Charlotte. During my first year, I was able to successfully place over 50 people. And some people in recruiting, and this will kind of fall into the tips that I'll give you guys, but I think some people get into recruiting seeing the potential money aspect of things. Maybe IT, someone might say, hey, I want to make a lot of money. But I think at the end of the day, you need to find out why you do what you do and what your purpose is. For me, I found so much purpose in trying to help people get a career start. I was recruiting help desk, desktop, infrastructure, systems engineers. And a lot of those people were either just getting into the IT space or were developing a career and saying, how do I get to that next step? So, in that, like I said, I placed over 50 people. They're all people that I genuinely cared about and tried to keep in contact with. I just texted one of my first placements this morning saying, hey, I'm a little nervous. I'm leading this talk. And she was like, hey, you're going to do great. She's someone that I'm on her ICE contacts in case of emergency. She said I'm one below her family. And to me, that was like, hey, I'm actually making a difference. And where when I first got in the industry, people were telling me, hey, it's all about money, it's all about placements. I found that my why for what I did, and why I felt successful in my day-to-day life was trying to help people. So long story short, since then, I've gone into the client acquisition side of things. I did it with tech for a few years, and now I'm fortunate to say I'm with a great company in Genesis 10. I love all my coworkers, and I really think that being in this environment where people are trying to help people out, it allows me to kind of feel like I'm in the right place for me. So long story short, that is a little bit about my story inside of work. Outside of work, would love to get to know some more people, especially in this group. I'll be participating in weeks to come. But to get to the next slide, I don't know if there is a next slide or if I just answer it from here on. Danny, you let me know.
Go for it.
Okay, so thinking about this question, again, I was kind of like, holy crap, what's the golden bullet solution to all of this? Thinking about it in my job now, I always trying to think like, hey, why would a client answer my email? Why would anyone answer my call? And there really is no one size fits all solution. But I do think in terms of tips that I would give job seekers when I was recruiting, a lot of it would start out with networking. I think when we look at job applications and we look at LinkedIn and we say, hey, I might be a good fit for that. And I say, I'm going to press the easy apply. I think you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice to say, hey, I'm going to work a little bit harder than the 15 other people that just clicked easy apply at the same time as me. So I know it's so obvious to say, tailor your resume, tailor your CV. You can create, CVs. People don't do that anymore. So what is it that differentiates you among a group? Another thing that I would say is applying through LinkedIn, maybe at one point was great. I don't like to think that it's the way to do it anymore. I think it's trying to network in your group. So finding 10 people among your LinkedIn connections or professional connections, former colleagues, friends, people that will stick their neck out for you that enjoy helping others. I think that those are the people that I would go to first. And transparently, I was in the job search a couple months ago. I was laid off in May, and I was fortunate to find a job sometime at the start of July. So I'm very empathetic to people in the search. I know how hard it can be, but put your best foot forward. If you apply 200 times, I want you to be self-reflective, and think about what is it in those 200 times that I did not get a response back that I could maybe do differently. And let's say you get to the next step where you actually get to the interview stage. And when I used to work with people, I would say, hey, I want to work with you on a higher level. Like, how many interviews have you been in the last 3 months? And some people would say, hey, I've been in for 15 interviews. And they'd say it with kind of like disdain. And I understand it's so tough to put yourself out there and continually explain, hey, who is Kyle at the end of the day? Why do I fit into an environment? But if you look at that in terms of, hey, I failed across 15 interviews, I think you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice. And I think the way to kind of flip your mentality to that is, along those 15 interviews, what did I maybe do poorly, and just be true to yourself? What did I do? What did I do well? And what can I do maybe better the next time? And if you look at it that way, then what you're doing each time is not saying, hey, I failed, I failed, I failed. It's, hey, I learned a little bit of something. I learned a little bit of something, and you're building yourself up within that. I think it also allows you to continue with a positive mindset, an accountable mindset to yourself. So that would be my advice within that. And another thing is, honestly, finding a good recruiter can be tough, especially when the market's in a little bit of a downturn, maybe as it has been over the last 2 years, year and a half, however long you want to kind of assign to that. But if you find someone that genuinely wants to help you out, and their job is to essentially help you out, put some responsibility on them as well to say, hey, I've had 15 interviews. How can you help me out? Can we go through a mock interview? And at the end of the day, if they're a good recruiter, what they should be doing is investing time into developing you, in the hopes that, one, maybe they get the feel good of placing someone. Two, maybe they make money, because that is the industry that, staffing is we try and find the best talent for people and clients and companies to say, it's a two-way street of a fit on one side and a fit on the other. I used to have a mentor that would say it's kind of like matchmaking. I always thought it was a little bit weird. But there is an aspect to it that is like that. It's trying to find a home and a great place for you to grow. And then, something obvious that, if I said this to someone, I could see them rolling their eyes and saying, hey, that's your one piece of advice, or that's a piece of your one piece of advice. I think formatting your resume and making sure that you have a proper tailored resume is incredibly important. So when I was a recruiter, I built thousands of resumes. So I kind of built an eye for it. But if I saw someone putting their best foot forwards and saying, hey, this is something I've worked on, and when I was in my previous job, I was constantly updating it with accolades, with responsibilities, with things that were concrete evidence of how great of an employee and person I am to this company, I would say, hey, that's great, because then I can help format. Have something uniform throughout. So your dates should align, your company should align, your position should align. And then that will just help you kind of get past the stack of resumes. I like to think that if you're a good recruiter, or if there is a good recruiter working with you, they will be the one to tell you that, but they're not always invested as much as maybe some others are. And honestly, at the end of the day, I think Danny says it best, that you kind of have to keep your head up. When I was in my job search, it wasn't my highest moment, but it definitely wasn't my lowest moment in my life. And the reason I say that is because now I'm able to look back on it and say, hey, although getting laid off is incredibly tough, and as a 25-year-old at the time, I was like, damn, I don't really know what I should be doing. Was that not the right position for me? But what it ended up being was I found a different company that aligned more to my personal values. So when I look back on it, although it was really hard, I look forward on it as saying, I'm in the right place right now. So although there might be kind of that rut period where you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I truly hope that you can kind of be optimistic within that search. Also be realistic within your search. If you we're working help desk and you want to be a systems engineer, you kind of have to prove it along the way of why someone should hire you to do that. Is that certifications? Are you doing work outside of that? But at the end of the day, networking, finding people that can really push you and hold you accountable, but also help you out along the way. And then the little bits and pieces maybe along the way that I may have mentioned, but those would be my general pieces of advice. Again, there's no silver bullet that is going to land you a job. There's no one bait that's going to catch one fish, but there might be good tips that you can take and kind of build yourself up. If there's anything I can do to help you guys out, please let me know. I do work on resumes. I do have a job as well that I have to do, but at the end of the day, find someone that can help you out in that search. If it's me, then I'd love to do that, but that would be the end of my TED Talk as well.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle. I really appreciate it. I hope you can stay on after the 30-minute session. I tell the audience typically the most fun part of the session is usually after the 30-minute session, because that's when the audience asks a lot of questions.
Yeah.
All right. So